Mm, right. Okay, so welcome everyone to our second workshop. Um, it has been really, really lovely watching the conversations that have been going on in the background. And I get to see a lot of it. I get CC'd into it. I'm seeing what's going on the team site. It's really, really lovely to see the communication and the collegiality that's happening. I've got to say, we as a group have been so blessed to have some great mentors. Like to have a program like this just come off the cuff, and to have so many mentors put their hands up saying we really want to be a part of this has blown me away. So I just want to acknowledge all the mentors that we do have in our group. So we got Corey who's come along today. So welcome, Corey. And Corey leads the life cluster in the Create Zig. Michelle Vanderberg, who's in education. We've got Nadia, who Bree just mentioned, who's sick today. Desley Pigeon. We've got Miriam Ham, Bree Kit, Karina Menzies. We've got Gemma Mann, Michelle Thompson, Linda Lorenza, Joe Dargish when she gets back. That's it. Yes, and that's our mentoring team. So a really, really great team to have in this program. Now, the other thing I wanted to double check with you all is whether you got your doing educational research books. So if you did, oh, look, here you go. There's a few holding them up. Well done. Well done. Some of you shared photos. Thank you for that. And continue to share those photos and pop them up, even just on our team site. It is lovely to be able to see. If you haven't received it, can you pop your name in the chat for me so I can just check out where or why it hasn't got to you yet? We're hoping to get more of these so we can send them to the mentors, because as it turns out, some of the mentors haven't got this book either. So it'll be great for them to have it. So I'm currently just looking for some more of these so that all the mentors. Have you got one of these yet, Corey? No, there you go. Well, one will be on its way. I've already got Nadia's address ready to go. So this one's been earmarked. So as soon as I get the others, I'll be sending them through to you as well. Okay. So what I thought we'd do to start this session off is get each of the teams to have a little chat about what they're up to with their research plan, what their research is about, sort of what talk about the topic, talk about what it's about, and then just talk to what's maybe some of the research questions are. Some of you will already be thinking about a methodology, even though we don't cover that till next week. Your mentors will be guiding you on this, and they may actually say to you, you should do this or you should do this, right? And that's the methodology you'll use. And then you'll go and further research, do more research into it and become more aware of it. But at the moment, you may have a research sort of methodology that you're looking at using. So share that as well. So I'll make a start in my list. The first two aren't here. So it looks like Rach and Leonie, you two can make a start.
Wonderful. Well,
Lucky
we are
you.
still coming up with 1,001 choices, but and we do change constantly, but we kind of were looking at maybe the disconnect between what Fed educators assume about students' digital literacy skills and what learners know. So we were sort of, I guess, going to look at the surface versus the deeper skills, the basic skill gaps. Rach, if I'm missing things out, tell me, and possibly having a more focus on the language skills around digital
like
literacy.
the assumptions that that we have about the students' understanding of like the language of certain digital literacy things. So you have like a student come in, you tell them, okay, we need you to upload this. Does the student actually know what that means in that context? That kind of stuff. Like when you tell them to right click to save something, do they know what that means? And as we move forward online more and more, that's something they're going to need to know how to do, but do they have those skills? Where's that disconnect? Do they have the language ability for it? And this is where we keep going rogue and think of 1,001 different ideas. We're like, okay, so what effect does that have on the students' attrition rates? What effect does that have on the teacher's workload? what effect does it have on, what's the demographics behind it? We keep going too big.
That's a really good point that you've actually acknowledged, and I was just about to say, it's one thing when it comes to research. We want to do so much in a research project. We want to know about this and this and this. We need to pull it right back. So and Michelle will do this with you. She'll pull it right back and say, right, what's the key thing you really want to know? And ultimately, you really only want one or two research questions, and then you just focus in on that. So, and a little bit of
Michelle has been great.
Michelle has been great. Yes,
Michelle's been great. It's just, oh my God, we just keep our little minds won't.
I think you've given us a voice, so now we're kind of like shouting with it.
Yeah, good on you, but that's wonderful. But yeah, keep listening to Michelle and just sort of bring it in, tone it back in to make it a little bit more manageable for you all. The one thing I say that, but what you can be doing is when you're collecting your data. Perhaps depending on where you're going, it might be that you might look at, say, academics or your vet educators' assumptions, and then but you might also say look into then say the students' perceptions or something like that. So ultimately, you could be collecting that broader data, which could potentially give you 2 research papers, right?
And
but
I think
we're not
that's something that Michelle sort of mentioned was that there's pathways out of this as well.
That's
there's
right.
different things. So yeah.
And so she'll guide you there onto how to develop those surveys so that potentially you could be taking from it for another paper down the track. But that's really a really great start for you guys. I'm so glad that you got Michelle, because she'll be perfect as a mentor on this particular one. And that
she's getting good at wrangling us.
Yeah, that's good. That's great. Okay, so the next one down on my list here is Bree, and Madonna's away. So you and Nadia is sick, so you get to share what you guys are doing.
That's okay, I can share. So we've caught up, Madonna and I, with Nadia and had a bit of a meeting about what we're going to do and sort of thinking things through, which was great. And Madonna and I have also met last week just to sort of have a bit of a chat about where we're up to. But we've sort of decided we're going to do different projects just because of the nature of autoethnography. It's just makes a bit more sense and sort of the directions we're going in, but we're going to keep working, I guess, together to sort of, support each other and get our heads around this sort of process. So that's been a bit nice, but where I'm up to. So Nadia was great. She gave us some homework to go away and put together a bit of a plan and then send it back to her so she can give us some feedback. So I'll let Madonna talk to hers next time, but I'm looking at doing a project around, I guess, looking at being a first in family university student through an autoethnographic lens and examining how that shaped my educational journey and eventual, I guess, career path into becoming an academic. And also, I guess, using that to look at more of the broad cultural issues around first and family students and support in the sector. So it's all sort of vague at the moment, but I'll start to
that's perfect.
Get somewhere.
And I see that Madonna's actually thrown her thoughts up on the team
she's a
site.
good girl. Actually, she did say that. She told me to do that, and I haven't done it. So she's a good girl, Madonna. You're better than me. Well done.
This is what her title is. Sounds amazing. If I don't teach, who am I? Exploring how teacher identity and trauma are intertwined. So insider view on how experiencing and surviving trauma is influenced by perceptions of personal and teacher identity. So that'll be a really interesting paper, because many of you might not know, but Madonna was in a severe major road accident, and we are very lucky to have her here with us still. So what a perfect, and it'll be, autoethnographies can sometimes be quite cathartic, as you're reflecting on things and you're making these connections, especially as you make into literature, even though it's an academic thing, you're giving yourself answers as to why you may feel the way you are and why you're reacting and what, all these, it sort of answers so many questions. So it'll be a really great project for her to do. And Bree, you know, with yours First in Family, a lot of Sarah O'Shea's work. There's a
Yeah.
lot out there that you can be
That's actually
drawing on.
what Sarah O'Shea is what inspired me to do it. I was really interested. She wrote, I've looked at a bit of her work, but what actually sort of prompted it was an article she wrote for The Conversation. I can't remember what it's called, but it's a good one if anyone's ever
Yeah.
interested in looking up Sarah O'Shea and First in Family. It was very interesting.
Lovely. I met Sarah at the conference last year for NAIA conference.
Really?
Lovely to meet her.
Oh,
Yes.
wow,
Yes.
that's very cool.
Very quiet lady, but yeah,
Yeah.
a lovely lady. Another lady to look up, Bree,
Yeah.
Sally Patfield.
Okay.
Right. So Sally's actually currently
Sally
doing some
Patfield,
research
write that
on academics at the moment, on First in Family academics as they go through. Because I was interviewed Friday with her. So on her research project.
Cool.
So
Thank
keep that one
you.
in mind to
I
look
will.
her up. Very good. Well, that sounds exciting. And what this lens will bring to our whole team is understanding then what the autoethnography is going to be like. It's a completely different type of research project, very personal. And you can do it in a number of different ways, but this one is very much solo. They're doing solo autoethnographies and then writing up their papers from that. So that'll be exciting to see that come through. Rightio, next on my list is Rachel, and because Jess is not here, so Rach, you get to share all about your project.
Yeah, no worries. So Jess and I are working with Des. We've met with Des and we're looking at the perceptions of professional identity and value for school nurses. So it's a bit of a understudied little area. And Jess and I are both school nurses. So yeah, that's what we're doing. We're using the Q research method because that's Des's little baby.
Yeah.
She's managed to convince, well, she didn't have to convince very hard, but my husband and I are going to go down to her little conference in Brisbane in the end of November. So it'll be good.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, again, for us as a team, it is going to be so good to hear about Q methodology because Des talks about it all the time. She's done a whole PhD on it. She just loves it.
Yeah.
And your project is perfect to use that methodology. So
yeah. And so interestingly, she was saying with the Q methodology, you don't need a big sample size. It's actually not a good thing. And so we may just be looking within Queensland private schools to start with. So we we'll nut that out with her and come under her guidance because we have no idea what we're doing.
Yeah, that's good. And she'll be great. She'll guide you through it. And she's such a bubbly person.
Yeah.
So fun. She'll be fun to work with.
Yes, indeed. Thank you.
Great. Now I don't think I'm scanning the screen. I don't think I've got Prabha or Rashmi here today. So I'll just go down past it. I did see Mary, you're here. That's Jackie. I can't see Jackie. Yeah, Jackie, you are here. There you are. I see you hiding in the bottom corner.
Jackie's just says she's having tech problems. It might be tech difficulties. It might be sound as well as video. So she's putting trust in me as to our project and thinking, yeah,
go for it, Mary.
I actually know. But no, Jackie did up a really nice, thanks, Jackie, like your proposal template. So she kickstarted all of that for us. She pre-populated, and then because we're doing the third space.
Exciting. That's great.
Yes, that's kind of the space that's occupied by, well, we're looking at vet teachers, but it's the space that's kind of not academic. It's not, and it can be any third space, it can be any space that doesn't really slot itself neatly into a category. It's sort of drifting and it's fluid and it's in motion. And they do a bit of this and a bit of this, a bit of that. And, they sort of across everything, which is most of us sort of doing it all anyway. But anyway, so we've just pitched it to the vet space where we both hang out, and should be quite good, quite relevant for us. We're right with it. I did a little literature review. Corey's, I should get big green ticks, Corey. I did a literature review matrix. Thank you very much.
And actually Mary's going to show us later on what she means by that.
And
which is, yeah.
I actually opened up my thesis again. The moths flew out and stuff, and I thought, oh, she did put a bit of work into this, and thought I should. That actually wasn't a bad idea of Bobby's and yourselves to get that, because it's actually been really useful to digest an article and just down to its finer points, finer parts, and how it comes
Yeah.
back up again into an article. But
Mm.
that's where we're hanging out. Hey, Jackie, and yeah, third space and autoethnography, which I think would be quite cool where the gap is.
Right. And your mentor is Gemma. You guys caught up
Gemma,
with her?
yeah, Gemma's our mentor, so she's pretty excited. She's got something big going on herself, Trixie, so that sounds exciting too. So she's
Yes.
left us to run it for a week on our own, so we'll see how we go.
Great. Very good. Thank you, Mary. Righto, Carly and Ricky.
You want me to start, Ricky? Yep, sure. There seems to be a bit of a theme today. We're doing vet teaching space as well. More specifically, though, Ricky and I have a bit of an interest in universal design for learning, and that's along with sort of a bit of our day-to-day work that we've come across. We've sort of created this question, yeah, just because we've both got quite an interest in this area. But we're looking at pretty much how vet teachers engage with digital tools and teaching frameworks. So we're talking about like their own digital literacy, how they use accessibility tools and assistive technologies, and yeah, sort of any barriers that they might, like their own perceived barriers around that. And then sort of how that applies to universal design for learning. So we're in the same boat as I think the first team that spoke. We're feeling like we've got a lot of things here, but we're hoping with our literature review that we're able to sort of narrow that down a bit. And there was a paper that we were looking at by someone, James. I think she might have something to do with this uni, but it's flagged as a relevant paper. So we've got a bit of work to do on that. But I think we're looking at our approaches. Ricky, are you happy for me to keep talking about
You go, Carly. It's all
the
good.
methodology? Ricky's heading on holiday soon, so she's got a bit to get through. Yeah, so looking at sort of the case study model, and I think we'd mentioned with you once before, Trixie, around the stakes approach. So looking at perspective, so interpretive sort of perspectives, uniqueness to the case. So we're really interested in the vet space within CQU, and we're really not sure whether we want to focus, depending on what our final question is, whether we want to focus on like a few schools or 2 schools or just the School of Nursing. We're finding that we're probably bigger than we want to be, but we're sort of open to narrowing it down as we sort of go through the process, having not done any research before. But yeah, and a little bit on Miriam's approach as well, which is sort of that in-depth where and Michelle Thompson's our guide, and she sort of had recommended that we look at interviewing key people within the vet space, and then sort of broadening out or sort of more targeted after that. So around individual processes, understanding their experiences and what they identify as some of the barriers to their own digital literacy, and how that flows on through maybe how they function as a teacher, and whether they can incorporate universal design, or one of the questions where we talk to Michelle might just be like, do you even know what universal design for learning is? And that might be all that we capture in that in answering that. But Ricky, did you want to add anything else on that I've sort of missed there?
No, I think you've done a really good job of explaining it. I think, Carly, I guess we're also, though, with the universal design focus, it is also about the assistive tech or the digital tech knowledge, and how that impacts, their teaching, as Carly said, but just generally their understanding of it. And of course, then that flow on to students, that confidence of use, and how that can also affect the student experience. But again, as Carly said, these are all thoughts and ideas, and we've still got to, work out the final question. So, yeah.
Right. And that as you start to really hone it in, even though you'll look at it from a couple of different lenses, you just need to sort of bring it back to this particular area And I think when I've talked to you guys and when I've talked to the other ones, there's a definite difference in what you're doing in through that lens that you're looking at your particular areas in. So I know the Rach and Leonie, your focus and keep your focus here, whereas Carly and Ricky, you're looking at that universal design and educators. I think when we talked about is their skill, how much they use it or they're confident in it, and how does that actually impact the students coming
and the
through.
barriers. I think the barriers that they to them developing those skills as well, I think is
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
yeah, and I think we thought of starting with the student, but I think for context, we wanted to make it more around our vet staff and how our like a basic foundation of, well, what's your digital literacy like, and what how do you feel about it, sort of thing. So
no, that's really good.
That's where we're at so far, but we're really just have to trust the process, because we're not 100% sure what we're doing.
No, that's right. And Michelle,
but we're enjoying it.
She'll guide you. And remember, this first project is meant to contextualize one particular area and give you credibility in that one area. And then from there, you can go on to do more research, and you can, broaden it then and look at other areas. But this is just meant to sort of focus on one particular area. And that's what research is all about, just one gap and responding to that. So now you girls are doing great. It'll be interesting to see how that all goes. Brian's not here. Brian, I had a lovely meeting with Brian the other day and a chat around what he's doing. Linda Lorenz is actually going to be his mentor, and he's actually doing a couple of case studies. So a little bit like the case studies like girls are talking about, but just 2 case studies on Indigenous languages that are being reintroduced into a couple of schools. So it's very much an ethnography, sort of autoethnography, where he's going in and focusing on those 2 particular cases, and we'll have a look at how I'm just trying to think of the language that we used. Just those how the revitalization approaches sort of help with community engagement and outcomes. So he's been working through that one. So that'll be an interesting one once it happens. Okay, next we've got Portia and Shannon. I saw you both here. I thought I saw you both here.
We are, but we're the naughty ones. Portia, we haven't actually caught up yet. Portia assured me there'd be lots of us that were naughty, but we might be the only 2.
I'll give you a pass. You have been very, very sick.
I was very sick. Well, yeah.
But
Portia,
Trixie,
you got anything?
Yeah, I was going to say, Trixie, we have started looking at it, I would say, at an individual basis.
Yes.
I think in our case, it did take a little bit of time, even the fact that we haven't been able to meet, because we had like different projects, and then Trixie did help us to come up with an idea which actually aligns with both, I would say, what the work we are currently doing. So probably we can just share the idea, which is exploring the experiences and needs of equity students within programs like HEP and Be Ready. So we want to identify their experiences and how institutions are actually supporting them in terms of, I would say, moving from I would say, STEPS program to undergrad. What is it that needs to be done, and are we meeting their needs? But we still have to do a lot of work on it. But it's a great idea. Personally, I love it, and Shannon loves it too.
It's perfect for you 2 girls, because if you really focus, this is going back to the core of, what are the academic, the social, the personal barriers that equity students have when they commence an enabling program. So it's actually finding out all the needs, really establishing the needs of these groups, which then will inform the value of the HEP program that Shannon runs and the Be Ready that we wanted to do, Portia. So it's about really getting the evidence to start with, so that then you've got evidence for those programs as to the value of why we need to have them. So that's great. But yeah, you girls will get yourselves caught up. Your mentor is
You are our mentor, Anne.
That's right. It's oh dear. It's Joe and so I'm filling in for Joe when she gets sorry, girl. Oh, that's hilarious. Yeah, so we'll have to catch up, hey, next week. Let's make it once you're feeling well again, Shannon. And I've just mucked up and I've just literally stupidly deleted your names on this document. What a goose. Okay, yes. So yeah, your mentor sounds like she's been a bit slack. I completely forgot about that. I said I'd step up. Right, let's just delete that out of the recording. Next one is Shane. Shane, hello.
Hey Trix, hello
Hey.
everybody. Sorry, I came in late, so I'm just sort of
Just
summarizing
sharing
what
what
I'm.
you're up to. Yep, what your study's about, key thoughts, key ideas.
All right, well, my study is about vet students, particularly those with dyslexia, and how they are being taught and or supported in the vet space, particularly since they're being taught online. And this has sort of come about due to my dealings with these students, who many of whom have dyslexia, and they are rather disgruntled in the sense that when they ask for support, they're told to read the learning guide, which, as you can understand, would be quite problematic for someone with dyslexia. So, the issue, so that's what I'm investigating. It's more of a expose, perhaps, than anything else. So that's what I'm doing.
And so your mentor is Michelle?
Yes,
Yep,
Michelle.
great. Yep, you caught up with her?
I have, and she's given me some tasks to do, which I'm in the process of doing. Yeah, so
That's good.
I've sort of done that, so I'll have to organize a second meeting.
Yeah, great. Thank you for that. Silpi and Samaya.
Thanks, Trixie. Is it okay, Samaya, if I go on first?
Yeah. You just go ahead.
Cool. Thank you. So Trixie, our mentor is Karina, which is great. So initially, Samaya and myself, we caught up, and then we caught up with Karina as well. And with a lot of different ideas and trying to bring the big, huge concept to, bring it, make it more, what's the word?
Streamlined, yeah.
Streamlined, yes. Thank you. So yeah, and we're now looking at the role of National TVET curriculum framework in facilitating pathway to higher education in Nepal. So we've been discussing and sharing documents and working through it at the moment. Focusing on the research question at the moment, which is still in developing stage because there are a lot to do. So basically, we're looking at a research question on how the NTCF facilitates progressive learning. So yes, Samaya, would you like to add anything? Did I miss anything?
Yeah, so I guess we have a couple of projects here, which are mostly on VET, if I'm not wrong. So I think we're like a fourth group of people who are talking about VET. So initially we had this plan, Silpi had this plan that to do some comparison between Australia and Nepal. But later when we started doing some lit review, we realized it might be too big for us and we need to, like narrow it down. So we're particularly looking at how the technical and VET, TVET we call it in Nepal, so how it works there and like what maybe a specific framework we can look into and how it can progress towards higher education. So if we talk about like Nepal perspective within the education system in Nepal, so VET, if you can invest maybe around 2 months of your time, you can get a VET certificate. And then if you gradually towards the progress to get into a PhD or higher education level by level. So it takes time. We're trying to understand how this framework can particularly contribute to the existing VET system in Nepal and how it can contribute to higher education to increase perhaps the labor market and contribute to the education policy over there. We are particularly looking at doing some policy document analysis first, and perhaps we will do some case studies from selected provinces in Nepal. So there are like 7 provinces. We're not quite sure at this stage which province we'll be looking at, but perhaps we'll be looking maybe 1 or 2 or maybe 2 or 3 provinces as our case, and perhaps we can do some, I don't know, comparison or somehow we can understand the challenges over there and can learn some good practices. Yeah, so that's pretty much from our end.
Right.
Yeah.
Still kind of drafting and trying to narrow it down our project.
Yeah.
And yeah, we're looking forward to maybe have a specific research question later on, but for
Yes.
time being, we're just having about an overarching research question and trying to build
Yeah.
on that. Yeah. And
Yeah.
good thing is that Sylvie is traveling to Nepal next month.
Yeah.
So she will get the chance to talk to people from
Oh,
selected
great.
provinces. So we'll
Yeah.
get the chance to, get to know about the actual inhabitances over there, and perhaps we can fine tune our project based on those perspectives.
Oh,
So
that's really good.
yeah,
Really good. Yeah. And it's so good to have this project that's actually focusing outside of Australia. Like that's bringing this
yeah,
real global perspective in now
yeah,
into our whole group. So that'll be lovely to see how
yeah,
that goes. I think, look, Karina will be great because she will really help you to hone this in
yeah,
because we've got to remember this is just a research project. It's not a master's or a thesis or a PhD. So we just want to focus in, and it might be you do one part of it, not the 2 yet. You might
yeah,
start
yeah,
with
yeah,
that, document analysis, or what do you call it? Content? No, document analysis first.
yeah.
And then
Document
maybe,
document
so
analysis. Yeah,
Karina will definitely guide you on that. So it's good.
yeah, absolutely.
Well done.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Kimberly, so you'll be talking about what you and Billy are getting up to.
Yes.
Hmm.
So the title of our project is currently STEP Students' Perceptions on Academic Writing at University, a Metaphor Analysis. So we're looking to see how enabling students perceive their academic writing skills at uni through their use of metaphor as a primary lens. And our questions are, in what ways do STEPS/enabling program students articulate the perceptions of academic writing at university? And how does this articulation, whatever it turns out to be, help us understand students as writers? Which I love. That sort of been my lifelong teaching approach. So
Yeah.
we're working with BREKIT.
Yeah, which is lovely. She'll
Yeah.
thoroughly enjoy doing this project with you guys. And what I love about this is that you're looking at it from this very different lens. You're bringing this metaphor and creative writing into it, which is down your space and it's what Billy loves. So, you're really using your passion, what you both enjoy about academic writing and bringing it into this with the lens of the enabling program. So
I think we're really complementary, because he's got his PhD in linguistics and got mine in creative writing. So it fits together nicely.
Absolutely. And to be able to design your own project about your areas of interest, just, it brings ownership to it. Ownership to the project that you're doing. So that's so good. Thank you. Ali's not here, is she? I didn't see Alison come in. No. We're going to go right back to the top with Sarah because I see Sarah has snuck in. Hello, Sarah.
Hello. Sorry, I had some gremlins and it wouldn't let me log in to Zoom. Yeah, wouldn't. It was still circling
okay.
like it was thinking. Yeah.
Jackie's having issues too, so it might not just be you.
So is Julia in?
No, she's not.
She's not in.
Just you and Corey.
Yeah. Hi, Corey. So Julia and I are working on a potential potential for like understanding boredom, because we love, well, we have children, and our children, well, I have an ADHD son, and he when he experiences boredom, he has the fight flight response. And I suppose when I did a little bit of neuroscience, that's what really appealed to me as well, the linking between those survival mechanisms and the feeling of boredom. And boredom, sometimes for some students, they want to run out the door whenever they feel it, because it's a really awful feeling to them. So probably exploring or maybe just understanding boredom in academic context, maybe an enabling program, and how it influences student engagement and task persistence. So the research questions which are still in revision could be, what are the common triggers of boredom in enabling education and learning environments? What is the relationship between boredom and task persistence? Or how does the experience of boredom in academic settings influence a student's engagement? So we're still working on how to make it as easy as we can with the collection of data, and we haven't yet worked out how we're going to collect the data, but that's where we're at.
Sorry, so yeah, didn't unmute. Now that's really good, and how interesting, because in all my research, I don't think I've read anything on boredom yet. Now I know it's probably out there, I just haven't, delved into that. So you've got a real niche here to focus in on. So I think that's great that you've found that, and you'll be able to really hone this project in around that. So I think that's all the teams have spoken, and I'm going just to throw to Corey. What are some of your insights just from what everyone has shared here? Any key points that you think they need to be aware of, or any advice that you'd like to give? And Des, you're here as well, so keep that in mind. I'll get you to talk too.
Yeah, thanks, Trixie. For me, it was really well. These are exciting. I want to know more. I want to find out what you're going to look into and how you're going to go about doing it. So yeah, even though Trixie's saying no, we need to streamline and only do a little chunk, I'm like, oh, it's like a candy shop. Wonderful, fabulous. So yeah, it's really great to see such interesting projects in different ways that each of you are approaching them as well. So that's probably a highlight for me, was to be able to see that it's not just the research questions or the context of where you're going to be conducting the research, but also the way that you're going to go about doing it. So probably my one tip for today would be to really start to think around how you're going to be framing your studies when it comes to ethics application. So that's where your mentors are going to have that experience in being able to think through and step through that research design in a way that there's a connection between, if it's case study or autoethno, and your data collection and then analysis methods. So really being able to frame that up nicely. I know some of you in the program are well versed in that already, but that's probably the big ticket item that I think is being able to ensure that what you're doing is going to get through the ethics committee smoothly as much as possible, so it doesn't delay you in the work that you're going to do.
Beautiful. Desley.
Yeah, I'm a bit like Corey, and I'm guilty as charged. The rabbit holes is always interesting when you start researching, and very hard to get yourself back into that focus. So I know what you're saying, Trixie, but sometimes the rabbit holes are amazing, what you actually find and what you use in the long run. So even though I know we say don't do it, sometimes it is worth it. But it's really interesting hearing everyone's ideas and having that real student focus about what that voice of your research is going to say and how you're going to present it. So I'm really excited to see what the actual presentations look like. I'm very visual, so I love seeing things that are can be explained in more than one way, and I think that's what this group is going to do is really have those findings that can be shared and used by more than just one form of target audience. It's really cool. I can't wait to see what happens.
Absolutely. No, it is great. And what I'm loving too is that, there's so many people doing vet research here. Like there's 4 or 5 teams that are focusing on vet. I don't think this university has had that before. Have they, Corey? Have you seen that many people in vet doing research? No, I think this is amazing. So you guys are going to stamp your place, in these projects that you're doing there. But, even across the enabling and potentially mainly that, isn't it, really, with what we're doing. So this is very exciting. And as Corey said, this we actually will be doing this ethics application by the end of this year. So everything that we're doing is speaking into that. So one of the first parts of your ethics is actually identifying your research question, right? And then justifying that. So that's why this last month has been just focusing on this research plan and, what are you proposing? What's the key, the whole idea about it? You need to be able to describe it. You need to be able to put it into words so that you're understanding what it is that you're researching. So it's establishing that research question. We go on now today to talk more about this literature, research, reviewing the literature and seeing what's out there, because that plays another huge part. We'll focus in following that on methodologies and those theoretical perspectives and how you can weave that into what you're doing, which all of you, will be needing. And then from there, then we start to hone in on the ethics. And we've actually got ethics coming along at our last one in, I think it's October meeting. They're going to come and share about ethics application. So really, by the end of this year, you'll actually have your ethics application in, maybe approved, maybe not, but it'll be in. That's all that's what we're striving for. Okay, so that's our first section. And I think there's probably only 1 or 2 teams that we haven't got here today to be able to hear what's happening with them. So what I'm going to do now is just share this agenda. And hopefully I'll be able to flick from here back onto our screen. And actually, before I go on, I should have actually opened this up to everybody to just, were there any questions or any key, anything you want to just share just from our first little gathering, peer session? What are any key takeaways from what you've been listening to other people share about? You don't have to share. It's okay.
Sorry.
Oh, now you're both mute. Don't mute. Go, Carly.
I was just going to say, I did read the chapter 2 tricks, and I found it quite interesting. The thoughts on the should do ability, do ability, and want to do ability. That was actually, for me anyway, really helped me understand a bit more about how to think about the question. And I said that to Carly. I found that quite interesting, actually.
Great. Yes, because I did task everyone with reading chapter 2. So if you haven't done that yet, make sure you go back. This book is it's a lovely book to read. Like, it's easy, isn't it, Ricky? You just read it. It's easy to read. And that's why I chose it, just because of the simplicity of it. So make sure you go back. Carly, what were you going to say?
I think just what stands out for me is what you mentioned, Trixie, around, just being quite defined in what you're doing, that, this could be the area that we continue to research. And for me, I was sort of like, oh, that's like a light bulb moment for me to say, well, yeah, that sort of just that statement made it a little bit more simplified for me, that this is the area you might do more in. And it just feels like there's a can of worms, because there's every article you read, you get a new idea, and there's always going to be new concepts of, different things. But I think really sort of pinpointing that down is, you have to ask yourself that question. Well, what area do you want to research? And that just sort of highlighted, I think, where we need to go. So
that's good. That
was helpful. Yeah.
And the other thing is, Carly, you could have this same idea and use a different methodology, which is going to give you different results and findings at the end. So, there's not one right way of doing research. It all plays a part in, what that research question is, and then the type of the methodology that you're going to use, and the type of data you're going to collect, and then how you analyze it. Like, it all plays a part in what comes out at the end. And that's what's so unique about research, is that process that you go through. So for those of you that haven't, make sure you go through and just look at that. Look at chapter 1 and 2, but particularly chapter 2 was the one that delves into research design and forming that research question. So definitely worth reading. Any other points? No. Okay, I'll go back to sharing now. We're going to flick back over here again. And as I said before, if you didn't get your book yet, can you pop your name in the chat just so I can make sure I follow up and find out where it's got? Sarah finally found hers. Yay.
Yay.
Rightio. Okay. Right. So there's a few key things that we're going to start talking through here. And Corey and Des, feel free to jump in at any time as we do this part, just to talk through if you come up with any ideas or you want to make suggestions or share some of your experiences that you've had around these different areas. So number one, what we want to do now in this next coming few weeks is to really understand the research gap. So what your research is doing that hasn't been done before. Now, I say this because sometimes, look, you will have similarities. There will be something that has already been done on this. But again, if you look at it from a different methodology, different lens, different contextualization, depending on the program you're looking into, that changes it. But what you're looking for here is really understanding what is this gap in research, and then contextualizing this project, making sure that it's fitting in into a particular schema or a particular area. So that's what we're really wanting to focus on. So number one is identifying this gap and thinking about, why is your research necessary? And when I say necessary, okay, sometimes our research might not be necessary. Like, for instance, Brie, I'm going to poor old pick on you, but when we think about doing an autoethnography and it's a single person thing, is it necessary? Absolutely. Even though it is a single person's reflection, when you're drawing on literature, when you're drawing on theories and you're presenting this, you are presenting new information that just isn't out there or hasn't been out there yet. So it doesn't matter the type of research that you're doing, or if you're bringing something new to the table, and that's what this is all about. But you've got to establish, what is your research gap? Where are you fitting in here? And what are you bringing that's going to be new to this particular context? Now, I think listening to most of you, I think you've all found something that's niche-y, that is different. And so I think you're all on track here, but you've got to be able to identify it and be able to state what that research gap is. So in the textbook that I sent you, you'll see that there is a chapter there on doing chapter 5, and that's on literature reviews. So I want you to be going through and having a look. Now, the reason we do a literature review is to basically establish what has been done out there in the field already in your particular topic area, right? And it's seeing what's been done. What were their findings? What did they say about it? Have they come up with any brilliant ideas, frameworks maybe that you might want to explore a little bit more? Or have they done something and you think, well, that hasn't actually really answered this question. Like there's a gap here that no one has done anything on this particular area. So the literature review will help you to establish this gap, so that as you're writing your journal, and I'm constantly thinking of the journal, even though we're looking at doing a conference presentation, you're presenting this journal article that you're going to be writing. So it's important that this literature review shows the reader that you have looked at the current research across the field at this point in time. And then you're going to be exploring that in a little bit more detail. As I'm talking, pop any thoughts up onto the chat as well, anything at all, because Corey and Des will just throw in comments there, and also they might even raise it and quickly talk to any points that you have as we do this. So we need to start by learning how to search the literature. Now, for some of you, you've done masters or PhD, so you understand this really well. The biggest thing for you, and I think I might have said this to one of you the other day, Mary, I don't know if it was you or not, it's about you got to pull it back in. Because I might have been Billy this morning, because with PhDs, you know, you're reviewing the literature is like this big and you're writing thousands and thousands of words in this literature review. When you're writing journal articles, it's much more condensed, much tighter. So it's a different way of, you still review your literature very similarly, but when you write it, you're just sort of pulling it in, and it's much more condensed version. Now, some of you have not done any research, and you've been really open and honest about that. So this is really, really new for you. And what I've done is I've reached out to the library, and I'm going to ask the library girls to run a session on how to review literature, literally the basics, the practical examples of how to do it. Now, don't be scared about this. It's actually really, really, really easy. However, having an expert just guide you on this process will make it so much more easier. Now, I know that a few of us, Bree and Kimberly, Julia, we teach into the prep skills. So we actually teach our students to do this, and we give them the tips and the tricks on how to do it. However, until you get in and start, it's a skill that has to be developed. Now, the beautiful thing is, and I'm actually going to throw to Bree to share what some of the things are that we teach, what some of the key things, Bree, for really, really new researchers, to help them find literature.
Oh, thanks, Trixie.
That's okay. We only did it 2 weeks ago, so you should remember all this.
I also used to work in the library, so I really should know this. Yeah, so with our students in Prep Skills, as Trix said, we do a whole module on research skills, and it's also something I had a bit to do when I was in the library. So I guess a starting point is really, I think I get my students to just have a little bit of a play with some of the either the databases or Google Scholar or library search, and just start sort of muddling your way, finding your way around. There's lots of really great resources that the library actually have. They have like little guides throughout the library website. So there can be a lot of like, I'm going to throw around some boring library words, but there can be like search strategies and Boolean operators and things like that that can help like refine your searches and help make it a little bit easier for you to find exactly what you're looking for. Because that can be the tricky part sometimes, is sort of breaking down exactly what you're after and finding those key phrases or keywords. But there are, lots of great resources that the library offer and little videos that they do that step you through it. What else do we teach? I guess we do the research, like we do a bit of a cycle with our students too. So we get them to first start by breaking down their question and what they're actually looking for. So what information they're looking for, think about keywords and synonyms that you can use to start searching, and then come up with a bit of a search strategy and have a play. I just get my students to have a bit of a play and see what they come up with. Yeah.
And add
yes,
one thing.
Kimberly.
Well,
Yes,
I just
Kimberly.
wanted to add that to Bree that a playful attitude is really key, right? You're a detective at this point, and for me, this is the fun part. So, anybody who hasn't done this a whole lot, kind of go in it with an adventurous mindset. I think it's fun.
Absolutely.
I agree.
Harder is the writing it up.
I think that's probably, my students always think I'm super weird for saying that, Kimberly. So thank you.
No.
I'll take that, because I'm always like, this is fun. And they're like, oh, why is she like
My
this?
full geek on.
Absolutely. And I think don't be overwhelmed by it. Like, it's okay to go and search, find papers and just start saving, just start collecting them and saving them. Because you'll go through a phase now of just like getting rid of the stuff that's not relevant. But at the moment, just it's searching and it's finding anything that relates to what you're currently doing.
And
Trixie.
No, sorry, I was just going to quickly say, Kimberly, that something I do tell my students too is don't get caught up on like the perfect paper, because there probably won't be one. I feel like sometimes people, when they first start doing, this sort of source research get a bit caught up on, like, it's like you get an idea in your mind of what you're going to find, and you might not find it. You might find a culmination of it all over the place, but you're not going to find that magical thing that you're looking for. Sorry, Kimberly.
No, that's okay. I was just going to say, based on what Trixie was just saying, I think that you inadvertently really hit on it for me. It's about potential, right? This phase is about potential, not yet about winnowing down. And I love potential, right? So yes, you just want to be collecting and gathering, and all the decision making, which is the hard part, comes later.
That's good. So, to a practical sense, the library has a really great database to choose from, to be able to go into. What I love now is that it's become a little bit more Googly, in that you can sort of just put in keywords, key ideas you want to research, and it'll just come back with the papers, and you can start to save them from there. In particular discipline areas, there will be specific databases you might want to actually go into. It's like particularly nursing. There's some there. I don't know what you guys go into, but the library can help you with that. Education, I think there's a few. I don't know about the vet sector. I really don't know. Mary, you might even be able to answer this, but is there, I don't even know if Mary's still here. I'm not sure if there's actually a database for the vet sector. No, there's not. No, okay. No, so it's a more broad search that you guys will be doing.
Yeah, we're in education the whole time. Hey, Corey. So we were just looking at educational text most of the time, and
righto,
theoretical, but mostly the educational.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Look at Google Scholar as well. It's worth doing. One of the things, if you haven't used Google Scholar before, there's a way you link it to your CQU account. That way, then when you're doing your search, it'll tell you if it's available in the CQU library. It'll just save you an awful lot of time. So there is a way of doing it. It's really, really easy, but I cannot remember how to do it. But sign yourself up or link it to your CQU account, and then you'll be able to find those. And I also know you can do Google Advanced. So Google Advanced just is the search bars, and you can focus in a little bit more. So for instance, say Sarah's doing boredom. So you might want to look at boredom in and a secondary point would be, say, education. What else would there be, Sarah? And you might want to look at neurodiversity or something like that to see what those, if you can sort of get those key thoughts all in a paper. And that's where Bree was talking about Boolean operators. You might do and or, and it just helps you to narrow in or broaden your research.
I was just going to say, sorry, and it might not be any good, I have no idea, but I just found, because I had an inkling in the back of my mind from many years ago that there was a vet database. Ooh. And there is one. I don't know, it could be awful, so I don't know, but it's called VocEd Plus, VOCED Plus. Okay. Yeah, which is a database that is solely, for vet education sort of papers. So it's worth having a look. But yeah, I just vaguely remembered from my
That's great. Days. And the other thing is, as you're doing this, and this is an off the side thought that I haven't put into the agenda, but as you're starting to research and you're getting your papers, have a look at where the journals are, what the journal names are, and just start keeping a list of different journals that relate to your research. It'll just help you down the track in order to choose which journal you want to put your article into. So we'll be looking at that next year, but just keep thinking about that. And the other point there is having a look at, if you do find a good paper, go through their reference list and see if there's anything in there that you might be able to go and access. Generally, most of them will have DOIs, so you can actually click on there and that'll take you to these other papers, so you can be collecting papers that way as well. So with regards to searching the literature, my mentors, any other tips that you do? Think about this.
Do we enter the rabbit hole of AI assistance?
Oh, good point. Yes, let's. I love AI, but this can be a real issue.
Yeah. So when it comes to for literature, like when you're doing lit reviews, we do have, and Des, please tell me if I'm wrong, but Google Notebook LM that is supported by the university for us to use, and that can be a good way of sifting through papers and finding, okay, what, how do they potentially relate to my research questions and things like that. Always you need to be careful though around putting documents in there and things like that around copyright. But so the library that library session, they'll be able to, particularly Amanda Flanders, she was speaking on that earlier in the week at another meeting I was in around making sure that you're not putting it up unintentionally into a space where you shouldn't and things like that. But that can be good time saving sort of measure to consider if you've got a lot that you're sifting through. So you do your initial searches with your keywords through your databases to help you then sift through and check for relevance and things like that. You can consider whether AI might be of assistance. Can be a whole new journey in itself, particularly for those thinking along the lines of autoethnography. It could be really interesting telling that story as well about the researcher's experience in AI assisted work. So yeah, that might be something that might be relevant for some.
And I think because we all have access to Copilot, that's the other thing you can play with. So if you're only because I do like rabbit holes, I'll be upfront here. But if I'm looking for particular things and I'm looking at ways to put the search together, I'll often throw it through Copilot and it will bring you, and if you prompt it, it will bring you up research papers that have something to do with the words that you're looking at. So it's just a starting point.
Yep.
Yeah, just to get you going, and you might find there's a combination you hadn't thought about, and it's pulled up. It'll tell you the papers. You're going to have to find them on their library, but it's a good starting point.
And I must admit, if you're looking at AI, I don't find any of the AI platforms really great for finding sources of information. Copilot's the best out of that, and say ChatGPT, but be very careful because they hallucinate very badly. It'll give you some great ideas of papers, but it's just grabbing this person's name and this journal and this title and just making it up. So you really need to do a lot of this work where you're searching for the literature. You've got to do that yourself. You've got to do the hardcore version of it. And I see Gemma and Michelle are both rocked up too. Hello, ladies. So yeah, searching literature. So what we'll do, the next step will be starting this process of getting out there and starting to review literature. So go back now to establishing that research question and that research topic that you're looking at, and then start to collect literature that relates to it. I saw a little comment over here. Chat PDF for article relevance. So while we're talking about searching for literature, we haven't sort of broken down to the analysis or really looking at it. And Mary's going to show us a process that she goes through. But as Corey's mentioned was Google Notebook LM. I love it. I think it's a good one to put your article into and ask it to, explain a little bit or pull out the key thoughts from your paper. How do you use it, Corey?
Yeah, I tend to do exactly that. It actually comes up with some interesting prompts as examples, like to give you spark ideas. So it's actually gets me to think in different ways rather than having the blinkers on in what I'm doing. So I see you put up there Chat PDF. I'm not sure if we can use that one. I think that one was one that Amanda actually flagged as that if you upload so if you download the journal article through through the university's library, because we've got an agreement for you to be able to access it through there, but then you put it up into there, it goes into the learning model and you've breached the agreement. So I think we need to steer away from that one at this stage. But yeah, Amanda and the librarians they're all going to be the experts in that space. But I think that's pretty much what she said. Des, I see you were nodding.
Yeah, because I think we forget that we've got an agreements with what we're allowed to download and how we store it. So putting it into the ethos of the World Web, we can get ourselves in a little bit of trouble if it comes back.
Right. So stick with Google Notebook LM and Microsoft Copilot. Yeah, and then that's our safest bets. Any other questions around sort of what we're talking about here with searching and finding literature? No. Okay. So the next point that I want to talk to is the referencing and organizing your resources. So here we talked about this in the first week, but the university has EndNote that is a very good referencing citation tool. We also have a few others that are not university supported, but I know a lot of lecturers and educators are using it. For instance, Zotero is my favorite. It's what I used. I struggled with EndNote, so I went to Zotero and found it so much easier. But it's not everyone's cup of tea. And there's also one, what was it? Starts with M. Monduro, Mandarin, something. Anyone know what it's called? No. Okay, I wrote it in our first workshop. I did write it down. Mandura. No. I think it's on our the big research plan. I've written it down. So there are a few different ones to use, but look, I'd really encourage you to start getting into this and using it because it makes that journey a lot easier. Now, for some of you that are thinking about doing sort of your PhD, master's or PhD, down the track a little bit, start practicing now because it will Mandalay, thank you, Samaya. It'll just make that easier for you down the track. And the beautiful thing about these referencing platforms is that as you're finding articles, you're putting that citation straight into the platform. And when you're writing up your paper, you literally link it straight away. So you just go in, you link it, and then at the end, you ask it to write up your bibliography, and it's all there. It's all done for you. And all you got to do then is go through, just do a double check and check the that it's formatted it correctly as per whatever referencing tool you need to be using. So start looking at it. As I said, EndNote is supported by the university. So really, I need to be saying you should be going to EndNote first and giving it a try. If you've already downloaded Zotero and you've already made a start with it, then stick with that. I think once you know how to use one, you'll be able to go and use the other one anyway, and you can always export all your citations. So I know I started with EndNote, struggled. I exported all those citations into Zotero, and I was able to just keep working with Zotero from that point. So, yeah, has anyone downloaded one yet? Like, have you started talking about that, and has anyone actually done that yet? Pop it up on the chat so we can just keep an eye on what's happening. And if you say you want to start doing this and you're a little bit stuck and you just want guidance on it, yell out. Now, your mentor might already have one. I don't know what oh, that's great. Ricky, if you're going to organize that, maybe it might be something that we can yes, thanks, Samaya. So Samaya is one of my PhD students, and we were telling her to use EndNote, but I did say that I really struggle with it, so she's probably flipping over. Yes, Atira. So look, Ricky, if you're organising that session, could you even put it out to the whole group? And that way then maybe more could come along and they can learn about it. And if people are using Zotero and you'd like a little workshop, let me know and I'll run a workshop on Zotero. So we can do that. That way that you're watching how it's used, you're playing with it in the background, you're trying it. It's more about trial and error. You just keep playing with it, trialing it, and then using it. So, oh, look at this. Everyone's there. They're all tracking beautifully, right? So, yeah, I'll put that back on you, Ricky. If you can organise that, I'll organise a library session. You can organise an EndNote session, and then people can come along and do that. Very good. Oh, yeah, that's fine. When you get back, plenty of time. Oh, we've got more coming in. Hi, Miriam, Michelle. There's a few more sneaking in. Okay, now another task Kat, you really need to be thinking about, and again, this is going right back to the absolute practicality of research, and that is setting up folders, creating folders to be able to organize what you've done. Now, one of the things that we will need to talk about and look at as we're getting into our ethical clearance documents, where you're going to store the data. And you've got to be really, really conscious here that wherever you're going to start to put your data or save your data needs to be done in such a way that only your research team and your mentor have access to it, right? So it means if you start to say collect it on this team site, it needs to be a closed folder that only you guys can access. When you do the ethical clearance, there'll be a data management plan that you'll need to put in, and they'll give you a data folder area to be able to store all your information. So keep that in mind. But at this starting point, you need something somewhere where you can start to bring your literature together so only you guys have got access to this information. So think about that. It could be that you open up your own team site just with your little group that you've only got access to it. You can do it on our shared one, but you open it up so it's private, so only you and your team can access it. Just make sure that your whatever you choose keeps it private. No worries, Sarah. See ya. Now, then once you've got that, you've got to think about these folders. And I basically put a little, like an idea here of folders, what I generally do whenever I start this. And Brie will laugh because she goes, yeah, this is, every time we do it, these folders are always set up in there. So I always start with a literature and articles folder. That way, any literature you get will go into there. But once I've got that folder, I'll often go into it and then make more folders. So, for instance, Sarah, before we're talking about she's doing boredom and neuroscience, and there was one other aspect. What was that, Corey? Boredom. Can't remember what it was now. But you do little subfolders. So as for any research on boredom, you throw it in there. And then another little subfolder could be on the neuroscience or engaging students, learning and teaching and engagement. So that'll be another folder. So you're sort of separating them out a little bit, and that'll make it easier when you start to go and really break down those articles and look into them. I always put like a research proposal and plan on there. So I've got the idea of where I'm going, and I can always go back to it and look at it. The research papers means that the paper you're about to start to draft, that's where you go into there. And you'll often have 3, 4, 5 versions of it as you go through. You'll start with a draft and then you'll be revisiting it. So don't just keep changing the draft paper. Actually have a few versions of it. So you'll have version 1, then go on and start on version 2 and make changes. Because sometimes you might want to go back to something. You might have deleted it and you go, I wish I had that information still, but I just wrote right over the top of it. So start doing versions of your research papers. This is an odd one, I know, but if you're working in a research team, it's great to have your bios and your ORCID IDs somewhere, because you'll need that for your ethics. And as you start doing your journal papers, they'll be asking you for bios and your ORCID IDs there. So it's a great way just to, right from the start, you've got it ready to go. Bios, if you haven't got one yet, start writing them up. I tend to have 2 or 3 that are on the go. I have a small one that's about 50 to 100 words. I've got about 100 to 150 word, and then I've got a bigger one. So have a few ready to go, because there's different expectations depending on where you're submitting. So have a few. And then I'll have another folder that'll just be something like data collection, analysis, tools, or anything like that. So start by creating a folder, setting that up, getting it ready to go, so that over this coming month you can start to put all your literature and start to populate your all your folders. Any questions around that? Any tips from the mentors? Do you guys do anything different?
Trix, I've been using Teams, even with my RHD students as well, just to be able to, as you said, do those folders and things like that, which is really useful. And now, you can even do your add-in with a calendar. So if you've got your fortnightly meetings, you can all just have that sitting through the Teams channel, and it's locked down to just those members as well. So that's probably a nice go-to place. Everyone can access it at any time. And I know you were talking about version control with like drafts of papers and things like that. The beauty of Teams is that you can have a live document there. Everyone can edit simultaneously or, or separately, and it keeps a version history as well. So so it's probably, I guess, that next level of collaboration on papers where you don't need to worry about version control if you're all just inputting into that one document and as well. So another way to look at it. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that is one thing I really love about Teams. Yeah. The other thing about Teams too, and if you're not used to using it, when you are, say you've got a Word document open, you're writing into it, I always find it better to open it up on the desktop. That way you close it out of Teams, but it's open on your desktop, but it'll make those changes automatically. Just the formatting, I find the formatting works so much better when you open it on desktop. Any other tips or tricks from the mentors?
Trixie, I don't understand what you mean by that. You have it on the desktop?
Yeah. So when you go into Teams, just let me know. Can you see our Teams site on that page now? Righto. Bear with me. Let's go to my Rise and Shine initiative plan, rightio. So I'm opening up this plan now. I can be typing onto this page here, but I just find especially when you're working with somebody else, it can get very messy. Sometimes your formatting will be thrown out. So all you do is you jump up to editing, open in desktop.
Oh.
And all it does, see, I close the folder there, it'll now open up onto the desktop. Now it's still the same folder, it's links back, but I can now be typing onto here and just moving that out the way, I can still be on my Teams site looking up other things.
That's really useful. Thank you so much.
Yes. So that's one of the things I really love about Teams. And I tend to have them open, I will always open up onto desktop to keep being able to access the Teams over here. Any other questions? Oh, here we go. Michelle, thank you. Michelle's just popped up on her on our chat, just some examples. Looks like you do. And the other thing too is see the color coordination of the folders. That is one thing that I'm finding so much more valuable. Instead of having just your plain old boring yellow, this to me was like, whoa, check me out. You can change the color of your folders and they literally make the different folders stand out with different colors, which is what I did on everyone's research proposals. So another little tip. So yes, Michelle, if you can click on that and download it, you'll be able to see what Michelle does. Very good. Any other questions around that? I'll just go back to our agenda, what we're up to. Have you guys started thinking this way yet? How many of you have set up, say, Teams or something? I've seen a few have. Not sure. Well, that's a task that you will be doing this coming month. Oh, good. There, Ricky and Rach. That's the first thing you guys did. Yep, set up a team site. Perfect. I'm sure, I think Samara and Silpi, I'm sure I saw something set up with you guys as well. Yeah, I saw a team site there. And Mary's got the fortnightly meeting set up. Beautiful. Yeah, great. Yep. Right, so you're one step up. So those of you that haven't done it, that'll be the next thing. And of course, it's going to be you and your research team and your mentor. Add your mentor into there as well. Okay, rightio. So Mary, we're going to come back to you in just a second because I want you to show that how you analyse once you get your papers. Just going to contextualise this project a little bit more. One of the other tasks I want you to do this coming month is to download the research paper template. Now, it is on the team site. It is under resources, I think. Trixie, you should remember this. Manuscript drafting. I think that's where I've got it under. There you go. There's your template research paper. I'll just take you back so that because I got a bit confusing there. Under general, go to resources. Then go to manuscript drafting. And there's your template research paper that I've done up for you. Now, this is a guide only. Your mentors might guide you in doing it a little bit differently. As you're getting to the end of actually drafting your paper and you choose a journal, they will have a style manual. So you have to go back through and then restyle it to suit their style menu. But this will just get you started, right? And as you can see here, I've just got the key bits that you'll need in here, even given you some word lengths, just something that you can work around. Abstract, don't even worry about the abstract till later, but I've just got here introduction, background, the literature review, use subheadings, your methodology, some of the different things you'd put in there, the results or findings, your discussion, recommendations, limitations, conclusions, and then your references. So it's just a very basic template, but that you can download that and bring it across into your folders. All right. Now, and one of the other things I want you to start doing this month, as I said, you'll be looking for literature, but I also want you to start thinking about the background. I want you to contextualize where your research is taking place and start drafting that one paragraph, right? So for instance, you guys in vet, you're going to just share a little bit more about, the vet sector, the location where you are, probably the types of students. Sometimes you might be able to just, there might be research out there that just sort of shares the type of student that, goes in via the vet programs. Same with the enabling programs. You'll actually, when you're starting to look at your literature, have a look what other people are doing. How are they formatting their background? And that'll give you a guide as to what you can start doing. And remember, this is draft only. You're going to be changing this. Your mentors will come back and give you feedback on it. But it's just meant to start by contextualizing this area that you're researching into. Okay, so I'm going to minimize this now because what I would like is for Mary to talk about, I'm just going to find it now, Mary, sorry. So once you've started collecting your literature and you've saved it, you've got all these great articles there, then what often happens is that we start looking at these articles thinking, okay, what do I do now? I've got some great articles. I don't know what sort of information I need to pull from them. How do I do this? How do I start to review this literature and what points do I need to find out? So Mary, do you want to share your own screen or would you like me to share? You'll share? Let me just stop sharing.
Thanks, Trixie. I've just been adding up a homework page or a to-do list after, because every time you come up with another thing to do. So now I've started a list.
I'll show you the to-do very soon.
Because I keep thinking, okay, so wait on, I'll do a quick share.
So to give you an idea, Mary's just finished her PhD. So this template that she uses has quite a bit of information, but it's really worth you looking at this and utilizing something along these lines now as you're getting started, because there's a lot of information you can pull from this, but it just helps you to really understand your articles. Okay, thanks, Mary, Trixie. Go for it.
Thanks, Trixie, and thanks, Corey and Bobby, because it was Bobby who said get up this type of document. And then it became really valuable throughout the thesis. So I just added a few extra columns just for, just how things I sort of wanted to capture. The date, just so that I knew when I was looking at these articles, this was useful because, Corey, once you get up past, 100, more than 100 articles, you sort of it's funny how it gets, if you don't have it already counted, like populated or totaled the numbers, when you're relying on the rows on this side, I've had to, it's easier if it's already populated how the number of articles you've got in total. So I've done that. And then this was just left over from the thesis when we did first pass coding kind of thing. We color coded articles together with what they related to, like overall. And then the type of document, whether it was a journal article or, if it's a conference paper or whatever it might be, then the sort of what the article was pitched at, to me, it, might have been, this one was research design, like it was describing a research design. This one was more theoretical. The next one I'm looking at is more conceptual, and it actually says this is conceptual article, so that was a bit handy for them already to tell me what it was.
And Mary, in that,
Database.
would you, in the methodology, would you also maybe put down, like if it's a theoretical and they're using a particular theory, would you type that down saying it's Bourdieu's
Well, that's true.
theory
Yeah.
or Bandura's? Yeah. So you bring
Yeah,
all that
that's true
information to
too.
there.
Mm. Yeah,
Okay.
that's right. And then it continues what the journal was, because once you thinking about submitting, well, these gives you a bit of an idea of the journals that are around in that area.
Oh, great.
Author and reference is always handy. Then the research problem, its focus, its gap, or its research question, just something to around those areas. And you might have separate columns, but I didn't want to get it too long and stretched out. Key search terms, the theory, the lens, or the concept of what that article was sort of aiming towards. How they collected the data, who who were their participants, and how did they collect the data, down to some of them have really nice descriptions that get you a bit excited about things you can do too. And then the process, the thematic, whatever the data collection analysis process was, the findings and implications. So why was it useful for my study, our study? Or it might not be kind of useful, just nice to know, but might not get there in the final cut. But at least it just makes you look at the article, pull it out to its sort of more minute parts, and then put it all back together again as to how that article is constructed. And yes, I'll just keep going. Jackie and I will keep going and adding to it, because this is in our team site in our folder. So I'll just keep it there. And then I've just added, as you've been talking, just a few things for me to do while I can hear you say it, and I'll quickly put down this list here. So, and this will become a document that Jackie and I and Gemma will keep adding, and I suppose we'll keep adding to it and just keep using.
Great. It's great. Now we haven't got that up on the team site yet, have we, Mary?
Yeah, it's up there on the Teams. It's in Jackie and I's folder.
Oh, okay. Can you
I
share
don't
it
know.
into the literature review folder?
Oh, yeah, okay.
That'd be great. That way then, and is it okay if people just access it and make it their own?
Yeah, that's the whole idea. It's just there.
Yeah, great.
It's really useful. Thank you so much.
And the other thing about this is that by doing it the way Mary's doing it, it's pinpointing specifics, but it's actually helping you to broaden your understanding too around what are the different methodologies that's being used, the different types of ways they're analysing the data. What are the research questions? You'll start to see, well, this person's got one big research question that they're doing. Others might have smaller ones that they're responding to. So it helps you to dig deeper into those articles. And yet you don't have to do this big review and read the whole paper. You literally pull these little parts out, and then you'll go into the findings. What are they saying in there? What are they saying in the discussion? And just pulling out key points. So it's not meant to be in-depth, delve into everything that's in the papers. It's pulling these elements out of them. But it's a good practice. I know in the past when I've done it, I've done a much more simplistic version, especially when I'm doing journal articles and I'm just looking at, sometimes I'll even actually drag the abstract across, because that gives me the idea about what's in that paper as a starting point, and then I'll break it down. But one of the things I really loved there with what Mary did was that last column where you're reviewing the literature, but you're saying, what are the implications for this particular study? Like, what can I pull from that paper that relates to what I'm doing? Is there sometimes it could even be a quote, or if they've said something or they've referred to something, like you bring that into that column, and you'll find that very, very useful and practical as well. Mentors, other tips for this part of the process?
Yeah, I could say that usually when I'm doing a lit review, it's good to have a table with everything, or your EndNote. I actually find a full annotated bibliography is really good. So I will put the title, put the reference, put the EndNote link in a Word document, and then I'll go through and I'll do a critical analysis, like, oh, this is an idea, this is a thought, and then some quotes. I'll actually get the quotes out of the paper and put them there. So but that's really if I have something in mind that is a specific thing that I'm looking for. So there might be a journal that I'm writing. So around one of them was around evaluation of allo programs. So it was specific for that. So if you have that table, if you have EndNote and you've categorized them into the different folders, EndNote, you can do that. Then you go through that EndNote folder and just one by one really do a deep dive into what can you actually take from that journal and put it in, so you don't have to keep going back to the full article. You've kind of got the important quotes and the important ideas and your critical thoughts as well. So whether that would go in the big Excel spreadsheet, it might make it a bit unwieldy, but it's almost like a pre-writing the paper when you just brain dumping everything. It ends up very long.
Yeah, I do something similar, Gemma, but using EndNote, how you can put in research notes, and I just dump in my ideas, my critical thoughts about the paper that relate to what I'm doing in there, and just have it all there. And then, often we'll then copy and paste that into a Word document to then try and synthesize it all together. It's a great technique.
Yeah, because then you have to, in EndNote, you have to click into each article to see the notes.
Exactly,
And same with highlighting and putting the notes. I love that, but that's for long term. But if you're doing a short term project that's targeted on something, I will pull it into a Word document.
Trixie, I don't know.
You're right. Just talking, go for it.
Trixie, I wasn't sure. Sorry, I missed the first hour of Teach Until 3. Did you talk about how to judge different quality of literature? Did you touch on that at all?
No, we didn't do that. What we are going to be doing is having a library session. One of the librarians are going to come, but actually it's a really good point. So share about it now, Miriam.
Yeah, sure. And I was just thinking, Gemma, as you were talking, it is really worthwhile going into deep dives, but just be conscious of the fact that you'll learn this as the more you read about really dodgy papers, because it can influence your thinking, and then you start reading something else and you realize this one's taken you completely off track because it isn't robust. And so just give yourself the grace and time as you're reading those contents and those literature to start to look for what is a solid argument, what is a solid piece of work. Do they explain their methodology really clearly? You may not understand all the words they're using, but does it talk about participants? Does it talk about ethics? Does it talk about a methodology and methods that make sense? If it's not making sense to you, sometimes that's not you just being a beginner. Sometimes it's just a really badly written article. So we can give you some ways of checking if journals are a good journal or a not so good journal. So that's just another thing to keep in the back of your mind. And that's where, because you're in teams and groups, you can have those conversations to go, oh, I just don't feel like this article's quite, saying stuff that lines up with other things, and it's come up with all this new stuff that's got nothing to do with anything else. I suspect it's the article's issue, not you, reading dodgy understandings. Yeah.
That's good. And it's funny, I sort of had forgotten about talking about that. We talk about with our students, and we tell our students to make sure that they're finding credible, trustworthy sources of evidence, and we've got to be doing the same when we're researching. And I think that's one thing to be very conscious of, is that at this level of research, we should be just searching for those strong peer review articles to support what we're doing. You'll barely refer to newspapers or websites or blogs in this level of writing, right? You're focusing on the real credible and quality information when you're doing these searches. And there you go. Thanks, Miriam. She's got the Shimago link in there. Michelle, you've got your literature matrix. Did you want to talk to that at all?
Sure. Yeah. And that's something I do give to my RHD students as they're learning how to identify things in an article. Because if you can pick out these things, because articles aren't necessarily written very clearly, they won't specifically say, for example, all the time, here is our research question. You won't even know, you have to infer what their research question is sometimes.
Can you share it on your screen, Michelle?
Yeah, I can find it again. Oh, I just
It's in the chat.
It's in the chat, yeah. So basically it asks you to, pick out the abstract, pick out the research question, figure out who the participants were, the data, are their methods, their methodology even. Sometimes that's not even clear because articles are written very concisely. So sometimes they're just kind of really quick overviews. But starting to analyze, kind of building on what Miriam's saying, is look at the research question, what you think the research question is, and look at their methodology and see if it matches. Because sometimes, so often, I see student or people asking a quantitative question, but they use qualitative methodology. So there's that mismatch. So you have to kind of start zeroing in on that and trying to figure out whether or not what they actually collected, the data collected, actually matches what their research question was asking. But the more you analyze that and kind of be critical like that, the better your own research questions will become. But that's just a helpful thing for, especially in the newer age, or newer novice researchers to just start to pinpoint those things in the research and start to collect and analyze and stuff.
Right. Just added that to, I hope that's okay, added it to our team site so that people can access it, and Mary will add the other one. So that gives you guys a starting point. And with these, like I said before, there's no right nor wrong way of doing this. You've got to find something that works for you. But what these examples are showing is there's more than just looking at the findings and just pulling the findings out. Understand the holistic nature of the article that you're reviewing, and the credibility of it and what they're looking into and how they've done it. So these will give you a starting point. This is something where you can now go and create your own template, something that works for you, and work from there. So you do, as a team, start talking about this and working out how you're going to do it. Look, you might change it. You might start with something. Next thing you know, you're changing it, you're adding to it. You might say, oh, I think I want to add something else here, so I've put that in as well. Just go ahead and do that. Just back. Any more key points in the thing? Nope, nothing there. Right, I'll just go back to this agenda again. And just to finish off for the day, bear with me, make it bigger, bring it down, and then I'll share. Right. So share screen again. So here's our little homework page. Okay, that's an evil laugh, the homework page. Rightio, so this is what I want you to be thinking about for this upcoming month. Number one, establish these regular meeting times. So as a team, try and see if you can, look, I would even suggest that the researchers meet weekly. Maybe try and meet up with your mentor fortnightly. That way it's keeping you accountable. They can keep prompting you and guiding you on this journey of yours. Remember, the mentors are there to guide you. They'll be saying to you, look, this is the best methodology to use. So listen to them and follow their guidance for this project. They might set your homework, like we heard Bree say before. Nadia set some homework and they went away and did it. So just listen to your mentors, but make sure you keep meeting with them as well. The next thing that we haven't talked about is how are you fitting this into your very busy workloads? Right now, everyone here, I think just about everyone here will be teaching, so that you are trying to sort of fit it in around a very, very heavy workload. But I want you to think about when you can set aside dedicated time for writing. And this is really important. Even if you can set aside like an hour, maybe 2 hours, where you can just focus on what you need to be doing, you'll find that you will progress this much faster than if you don't. Now, a couple of the suggestions that we have is in regards to sharp and write sessions. Now, Corey and Bree run one on a Wednesday, so every Wednesday from 9 to 11. And I run one every Friday from 10 to 12. So if you think this would work for you, please contact either Corey or myself. We'll send you the link for the Shut Up and Writes. The whole idea is that this is dedicated time for writing. You're going to say, I'm focusing these 2 hours on writing. As a team, we ask you, what are you working on today? And then you'll state what it is and you'll go away and work on it. You'll come back, talk about how you went. Sometimes you've even got questions. You might actually say, well, look, I was thinking of doing this, but it's not working. What do you guys think? And these people will guide you on that. So we do that, and it's a 2-hour writing block. So if you're interested, as I said, contact either Corey or Bree for the Wednesday link and contact me for the Friday link. Okay, the next thing is drafting this background section. So you'll need to download your template first, your paper template, and start just putting in a bit of a draft idea around the background of your project. So where it's encapsulated, what discipline area you're working in, who are the students, who are the academics, and just sort of put some information down around that. And again, once you start drafting this, your mentors will feed back on what you need to be doing. Look at what other people have done in their papers as well to guide you. So start to find your literature, start to review your literature, and pull out those key findings from your literature search. And again, this can be very drafty to start with. You're literally needing to get this information. Once you've got the information, the writing actually doesn't take so long, but the time-consuming part is literally the searching and the analyzing these articles. So this will take up quite a bit of time over this coming month. That's why you need to set aside research-focused times. So start doing that. Show your mentor, show them what you're up to, what you're finding. Are there gaps? Are you starting to see gaps here? And that will actually really start to help you to see how you are situating your research into your particular area. Next is to create those project folders where you can start to work out where are you going to use a team site, how are you going to do this, and then start to create those folders ready to go. And the deadline for these is by the next meeting. So over this coming month, start working through all of this. It's a work in progress. You might not get all of this done by the next meeting, but as long as you started collecting the data, you started reviewing the literature and getting your ideas down, because it's stimulating your brain and you'll be constantly now thinking about it and saying, oh, I remember reading this paper and this one, and we could do this, we could bring this in, right? So you're starting that process of really stimulating your brain. Okay, so I think, there you go, Kimberly. 75% of your thesis by the Shut Up and Writes. You know what? I was the same. That's what got me through, was going into Shut Up and Write sessions and making myself write. And then I found I got into the flow and then I kept writing. But yeah, they were really, really valuable for that. Okay, any final questions? Any final thoughts from mentors?
None of this is easy. It's all hard, and you're making 5,000 billion decisions a second, and it's hard to keep track of. So if that's you, you're completely normal.
That's so true. We are trying to simplify it, but sometimes you can't simplify the convoluted. You just can't. But we are simplifying the process so it's not quite so huge, not quite so daunting for you. Well, look, if there's nothing else, I want to say thank you for coming along today. I will pop this recording up, so if you do want to by chance go back and rewatch it. I know a few are away, so they will be watching this, so we missed you guys, but this will go up now onto the team site and you can watch this back at any time. Don't hesitate to reach out if you've got any questions. Number one, go straight to your mentor. Number two, come to me. Very good. I'm going to stop the recording now just so it frees up. Oh, I think I stopped it.